Okay, this is Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff. I am Jeff, your host. I've turned the camera off because, I just woke up a little bit ago, so you don't need to see a camera thing of me. Anyway, it's a little bit busier today. We are going to proceed over to where we have been the last couple of days, which is the heat. That's what we've been talking about. As we look at this upper air pattern, we are looking at the eastern half of the country, pretty much under a large area of high pressure aloft, with a dividing area being the jet stream, which is just off to the west in the northern plains, and that's going to continue to move towards us, and that will cause some concerns for thunderstorms here later on today in northern Michigan. There will also be other places in the Midwest, and we'll get to that here in a second. But for the most part, the heat just continues to be pumped up. We got easterly flow down in South Texas, and the trades blowing into Florida as well. Then that all kind of spins up into the Midwest, into the Central Plains, and into the Great Lakes, and then across the rest of the eastern part of the U.S. Do we kind of take a look at it? I kind of moved this out to about 24 hours, or a little more than that. Well, it's good for tomorrow evening is what it is, the 25th at 0Z, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time on the 24th. So you'll see that we go from the current pattern there. Tablet had to catch up a little bit, and then eventually moves through with the jet streak just staying just to the north, but we really start getting into the what's known as a favorable position, which is that right rear quadrant. So that's the area that's basically from about Minnesota to Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan into parts of northern lower Michigan. As we get to that part of the jet where the high winds are, you can see it goes through there. That's actually a favorable area for uplift, and that helps to give thunderstorms a better lift to get going during the daytime. So as we're looking at it, this is the European. The GFS is not much different. In fact, I had that up earlier. We can just flip over to the GFS real quick. The American model. I use them both. It's always good to see what some of the other things are going with. And so the heat will kind of tamp down a little bit here in northern Michigan. I keep saying that it feels like we're in South Texas because if you look at, and we'll look at that in a little bit with the forecast graphics from the Gaylord, Michigan Weather Office and the Corpus Christi, Texas Weather Office, you'll see that our temperatures are not all that dissimilar, at least for the next day or so. Otherwise, as we get into it, you can see the heat is just over this. This is the Weather Service, main Weather Service map for this because I was missing too much in pivotal weather. And those pink or magenta areas that you see there are due to excessive heat warnings that they have. So around the Detroit area, the Northern Indiana office is in North Webster, Indiana, is showing the southern tier of counties, which is part of their area of Michigan. And then pretty much their entire area is in an excessive heat warning. So that's probably due to a local criteria that they have. I see the Chicago area also has the counties around Chicago there are, and Milwaukee. And typically you get that urban heat island effect around the big cities. So you got St. Louis. It looks like, local criteria over there in West Virginia and Southern Ohio. There's a lot of places that are just, and then a lot of the East Coast, you have the excessive heat warning going on all the way into New Hampshire, up from Massachusetts. And it looks like it also follows the Hudson River Valley as well in New York. All right, So to take a look at the surface map, as I mentioned, there is a chance for thunderstorms becoming severe over portions of the forecast area, well, the eastern part of the U.S. The low pressure there is centered right around the boundary waters in northern Minnesota, just inside northwestern Ontario. And then the cold front that leads down into the Central Plains this morning. This is the 5 a.m. Eastern Time map. That'd be 4 a.m. In the Central Time Zone. So that whole front and low pressure system is expected to move across the region here into the upper Great Lakes during the day today and overnight tonight. Kind of get an idea here with what's going on. It is fairly sunny here in northern Michigan across the area as I look outside. And then, but that area of low pressure, you can kind of see it in those frames starting to morph more towards the east, which is what it's expected to do. The other low along that front is down in Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle, Texas Panhandle. Kind of anchors the southern part of this cold front but the northern part's the one that we're watching, because as I showed before, we're looking at this. That the upper air position is going to continue to force that off to the east. All right, so as I mentioned, and it is after 12Z, so we don't have to worry about the 01 to 12Z anymore. This is the area that we're concerned with, a slight risk that basically takes all of the forecast area of Gaylords, except for down in their southeastern counties a little bit, south of Alpena. And then that slight risk goes in through central Wisconsin, central Iowa, and into north central Kansas. Yes, and there's a little bit in southeastern Nebraska as well. And that's what we'll be contending with. So to kind of zoom in on that, they do at the Weather Service office in Gaylord have put out a graphic that shows that particular thing from SPC, the little zoomed in version. You can see that places that would be involved in the slight risk go about Alpena, Mayo, Roscommon, Cadillac, and areas north and west of there. So Sault Ste. Marie, over to Newberry in the Upper Peninsula, Iron Mountain, and then over into Wisconsin as well. The line pretty much goes all the way south, down towards just south of Pentwater, at least when you're looking at most of Michigan. So most of the forecast area for Gaylord, which is the two counties in the eastern part of the Upper Peninsula, and just about everything north of M55, except for Gladwin and Aranet counties, are all in a slight risk. You get south of there, then you're in a marginal risk, so they're not expecting nearly as much. Most of it will be along that front, what they're doing. So the most likely timing for these storms will be after 5 p.m. Through about midnight, so it's going to be an evening system as that front moves across. Damaging winds has the higher hazard potential, but it's only up to a level 2 on that. Large hail is possible, as well as tornadoes out of this. To look at the categorical part of it, let's see, we can switch over here real quick. This is the current radar and the day one. So if we look at the tornado, that's 2%, right around a 2% chance within 25 miles of a point where they're expecting the tornadoes. The hail is a little bit about the same, which is with that brown shading, maybe I think it's 5% there. And then wind. So that's above a 10% chance within 25 miles of a point of having some sort of wind damage or a wind report over 58 miles per hour. So with that, we will jump back real quick to here again. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go through the forecasts for the areas. Well, first, we'll talk a little bit about South Texas. There's not a whole lot going on. As I said, there's just that southeasterly flow that's getting in there. They still have mostly sunny today. There's a low chance for showers and thunderstorms. That's probably mainly along the as the sea breeze kicks in during the afternoon, which is a favored time. The sea breeze kind of kicks in and adds a little bit to that easterly flow, and then it is able to get some of the thunderstorms to get kicked off. Usually about between 2 and 4 o'clock, you start seeing things start to get going there. And once that gets going, then it kind of moves inland and then eventually falls apart. Some days are better than others. So right now, the low 20 to 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, southeast winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. Tonight, they're looking at temperatures anywhere from the mid 70s out in the brush country to about 80 degrees for lows out along the coastal bend. And looking at their 5-day outlook, we're looking at 90s, actually getting to a few places 100 to 101 come this weekend coming up. And that's probably out by Laredo and other areas in the Rio Grande Plains, as well as the brush country. Okay, but it's a great day to go to the beach for Corpus Christi in that area. Upper 80s. For the highs, the water temperatures are in the upper 80s, wave heights are around 3 feet, and there's a very low risk of rip currents. All right, so then we'll go back to the Gaylord forecast, and as I said, they've got the scattered severe thunderstorms late afternoon and evening. They do have dangerous heat continuing. Our highs will be 85 to 97, so not a whole lot out of the similarity with the South Texas offices. Hot and humid for northern Michigan, it is 85 to 97. Heat index will be 90 to 105 around the area. Tuesday, as I said, with that ridge kind of flattening and going and pushing through, we end up with scattered showers and thunderstorms and chances of showers and thunderstorms. So at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the highs do cool down as you start seeing them in the 70s to lower 80s across the region. All right, so that leaves us with the new interesting developments out in the Atlantic. The one thing I noted was that all the tropical waves along the Intertropical Convergence Zone, the ITCZ, that's that line with the little crosshatches in it down there towards the equator, they're all kind of marching as they have been, but now they're getting into the western or the eastern Caribbean. And then there's nothing out in the Atlantic in the main development region for a bit. The only thing of note is that 1016 low that's up there by Bermuda. And we will look at that here. It's become a disturbance that now has a 70% chance of cyclone formation during the next 7 days. I would not be surprised if it starts forming a little sooner than that, especially as we get into it, looking at, it's right here in the center. And it's within that greenish area of wind shear. So it's low wind shear, so that helps to promote growth for tropical storms. With the lower the wind shear that you have, the better it is. It's one of the reasons why Milton last year exploded in the Gulf of Mexico when it did. There was just no wind shear over that area, and so it just kind of took off. So to take a kind of look at it, as we let Tropical Tidbits reload, you can see on the this is the floater image across that's pointed right now at Invest 90, 90L that is. You can see that counterclockwise swirl in the clouds all the way down to the bottom. I'm not looking at the one at the top there. We'll talk about that here in a second. I'll move this up so it's not as distracting. You can see that right there in the center. There's a swirl of clouds. We are starting to see some convection on the north end, so that if it can get itself together here during the daytime and maybe get some more thunderstorm development along the south end and really get things developed as far as the low pressure system is concerned, we might see a little bit more. Looking at Tomer Berg's website, Invest90L, this is the current information with its current track so far. The model tracks, looking at the main hurricane models, the GFS, the HMON, the HWRF, and the HAFS A and B. They all pretty much have a very similar sort of path. The timings are a little bit different depending on which model it is, but they're all pretty much keeping it out to shore, out over the open Atlantic during that time. The only thing that I kind of noted here is most of the models want to keep it as a depression. HAFS A and HAFS B, as well as the ship's model, I think that's a statistical model if I'm not mistaken, all want to take it in and briefly bring it up to the become the first tropical storm of the season. Don't know if that's going to happen, especially based on, let's see if I have, yep, as that starts to go north, there is an area of wind shear that's expected for it to move into and become unfavorable. And that's what the Hurricane Center has said. Environmental conditions are still marginally favorable. By Tuesday, the system, it could be a short-lived depression today, and by Tuesday, then it's expected to encounter less favorable conditions, which would probably end its opportunity for development, and then the forecast to move northeastward at 10 miles an hour over the open central Atlantic. And if it gets close to anything, then it'll be won't be that big of a deal, at least in this point. You can kind of see that the GEFS is the ensemble version of the GFS. So this is what I kind of look at when the deterministic, that's that red line, starts spitting out all those stupid tracks early in the season. It has a tendency to do that sometimes. It's like not until I can see something like this with an actual trackable system throughout the ensemble, and that's the difference. And if you look at the ensemble mean and the deterministic are pretty close together, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the deterministic is quite the outlier, and the mean is usually where you want to go with it. So we'll see what happens here. And I can talk more about ensemble model forecasting as the year goes on, and I continue to do these. Let's see, so the summary plot, and this is for the ship's model. Like I said, it briefly brings it up to storm strength before falling apart and then drifting off as a low into the northern waters. That's the other thing too, is that the northern waters are not all that warm. You start getting below 80-degree water temperatures out in the open Atlantic. You get below that, and it's hard to keep enough energy for the storm to feed off of. So that is it. Like I said, we'll just kind of recap here. Today in South Texas, we're looking at temperatures between 85 to around 100, and a very low chance for some showers, 20 to 30% showers and thunderstorms, probably mainly towards the coast. And over in Gaylord, we're looking at highs of 85 to 97 across the region with a heat index of 90 to 105. And as I said earlier, there is a heat advisory out for the area. All right, that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching.